Hey everyone, Bandit here. The other day, I made a community post right here on YouTube about fan theories that you may have that none of the Zelda theorists have covered yet. And I made a video about it, and turns out it was actually a really good idea that most of you really enjoyed watching. So thank you so much for the positive reactions, and if you haven't gotten a chance to check it out yet, I'll leave a link in the description below. But I wanted to bring attention to one comment that I saw in particular that was just too big to not receive a dedicated video. It's a Breath of the Wild sequel theory from a user named Jaden Everett. Now, the theory that he brings up is actually what I'm going to cover in this video, so I won't show the comment on the screen in its entirety at this time. But please feel free to head over to the comments of the community post and leave a like on Jaden's comment to show him some support after the video. Between reading Jaden's comment and talking it over with one of my good friends and Discord server moderators named Lonlon Historian, who had a lot to bring to the table, I think this theory has some very decent believability. And it's all about Ganondorf and the Master Sword. But probably not like what you're thinking. See, pretty much everyone at this point has pointed out that as of the second Breath of the Wild sequel trailer, Link has been shown doing several new things, like falling through the sky, or shooting flames out of a shield attachment on his, shield, or having Malice grapple onto his arm. And as I'm sure you all remember, that last nasty Malice one was the only time in the second trailer that Link was shown with the Master Sword. All of his appearances afterwards, be it in Hyrule or Skyrule, are Master Sword less. And sure, it could just be a case of Link using other weapons, as the Master Sword could just be chilling in his inventory, you know, recharging. But I think it's more deliberate than that. See, ever since the first trailer to the sequel, when Zelda and Link were exploring that mysterious dank cave, Link has been shown with the Master Sword, deliberately, like in every shot. And then similarly, the first thing you see in the new trailer is, again, Link with the Master Sword, deliberately, but then never again in every other shot in the trailer. To me, as I said in a previous video that I did with Mr. Zeltic, who's actually a really cool guy by the way, I think this implies that Link loses the Master Sword. And I think it happens when Link's arm gets grappled onto and corrupted by that Malice, which we can see has literally changed his arm's appearance for the remainder of the trailer. Well, either that or the green power that grapples onto it in the first trailer, but that's besides the point. Clearly, Link survives this encounter, and I'm sure that's what the events of the game are largely going to cover, but the thing is, if the Master Sword isn't with our blonde hero for the events of the game, it must still be chilling back in that cave with Ganondorf, who we can't forget was shown to be standing with his arms stretched outwards, almost triumphantly in the new trailer, as if things were all going according to plan. The question is, what plan? If Ganondorf did take the Master Sword from Link, what exactly is he going to do with it? Could he even do anything to it? Great questions. I'm so glad you all asked, because I can't answer any of them for sure, but we can speculate. Let us now rewind from the latest game in the timeline, Breath of the Wild, all the way back to the first game in the timeline, Skyward Sword. Back to the birth of the Master Sword. To quickly recap what happens to the Master Sword in the game, basically it starts out as a Hylia forged blade known as the Goddess Sword, and then gets tempered by the flames of Din, Furore, and Nehru, and then blessed by the mortal incarnation of Hylia, also known as Zelda, in order to transform fully into the true Master Sword, complete with the power to repel evil. Actually, it's more like the power to contain evil. See, Link takes up the sword, and at the end of the game, after Girahim pulls some time shenanigans and takes their fight into the past, ends up fighting the big bad OG Demon King himself, Demise. Not only does Link fight Demise, he kills him. Well, kind of. That's actually kind of questionable here, because Demise doesn't go dead like a normal person. He instead does this sort of Thanos snap dissolve into thin air thing and gets absorbed into the Master Sword directly. The spirit that resides in the sword, that goes by a name that I refuse to pronounce at this time, even confirms this and states that she has confirmed the eradication of the Demon King, whose residual consciousness has been absorbed into the Master Sword and is now sealed away. But notice they never once state that Demise has died. Actually, he wasn't completely gone, which I think is key here. Impa even confirms this later on and says that the last remnants of Demise are slowly decaying within the Master Sword, and she even elects to stay behind and watch over the sword because of this, out of fear that he might actually break out of his seal since he still exists. So here's the next question to ask. If the biggest and baddest dude ever known in the history of the Zelda universe is not actually dead yet, and is still alive within the Master Sword, might this have some sort of impact on the sword? Well, yes, it just might actually, and this is where Jaden's comment moment really starts to shine. See, he theorizes that Demise's intense demonic essence, even though it was in a weakened state, was still very much so alive and was actually causing the Master Sword in turn to weaken. This is why Skyward Strikes are no longer a thing following Demise's entry into the sword at the end of Skyward Sword. And it's also why the Master Sword appears to now have a tendency of slowly fading in potency over time, having to routinely be re-empowered back to its original state in games like The Wind Waker or A Link Between Worlds, or most recently, Breath of the Wild. It is a bit strange that the perfect, seemingly omnipotent blade of Evil's Bane created by Hylia herself would continually tend to lose its touch, wouldn't you say? But I know what you're thinking. What does all of this have to do with Ganondorf in the trailer for Breath of the Wild 2? Hold your loft wings, I'm getting there. So we talked about the Master Sword containing the very essence of the original, most powerful of all Demon Kings, right? And we've talked about how Demise's essence is probably still living within the sword, as proven by its slow drain over time. Now, let's bring it back to this scene in the cave of the Breath of the Wild sequel. Haven't you felt that something's off here? I know something evil's about to happen, but haven't you felt that something very, very wrong is about to happen? Maybe it's something about the music or the fact that everything is so different, but I can't help feeling that something may happen so terrifying that it may shatter all of our expectations and even the very foundations of the Zelda meta-narrative as we know it. After the incarnation of his malice, the dark beast Ganon was ultimately defeated and his plan stopped for what must be the 100th or 1000th time. What if Ganondorf decided he's had enough and that he's out to change this cycle forever? What if Ganondorf knows that Demise exists within the blade and he took it from Link in order to release the essence of the original Demon King from within the sword, in order to fuse with his own power and create a darkness the likes of which the world has never seen? This is what Jaden's comment was about. I've theorized before that the Master Sword's breaking may be necessary to finally stop the cycling curse of the Demon Tribe, which is as good a theory as any other, but that was implying that breaking it would destroy Demise. What if instead breaking it would release him? Of course, Ganondorf being able to break the Master Sword is something that you wouldn't think is possible at first, but what if he doesn't have to break it? What if instead he could somehow coax the essence of Demise out of the blade by using dark magic? All he really needed was to separate the blade from Link and remove Zelda from the picture, both of which he's done. Will Ganondorf terrorize Hyrule worse than ever before with the full power of Demise at his disposal? Who knows? After all, it's just a neat theory from a couple of awesome Zelda theorists named Jaden Everett and Lon Lon Historian. Personally, I look forward to finding out in 2022 if Nintendo keeps to that release schedule. But until then, what did you guys think about this theory? Let me know in the comments below, and let me know if you have a theory that you'd like me to check out and potentially cover as well. Also, to all of you listening to my voice right now, thank you. Thank you so much for watching, and if I could ask something of you real quick, would you be so kind as to leave a like on this video if you liked this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already in order to stick around for much more Nintendo content to come? It takes 2 seconds and you can always unsubscribe later. Also, huge thanks to my Bandit crew who make my day every single day. If you watching are interested in helping these videos come to life and helping an internet weirdo like myself buy some chicken nuggies for my rumbling tummies, please feel free to check out that join button located below any of my videos or the Patreon and merch pages in the description below. Also down there are the links to my social media pages, so come on over and follow me on Twitter or Instagram for some colorful insights. That's all I've got for this one, so as always, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. This is Masked Nintendo Bandit, looking forward to seeing you in the next one, and signing out. Peace!